Welcome back to Mastering Your Message. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, your master of messages, if you will. I run a website called masteryourmessage.net, a second one called podcastguidancefoundhere.com, and a bunch of other ones. It's part of something I call the More Better Media Network. And the purpose of Master Your Message came about from what seems like 100 years ago, but was only like 16 years ago, back when I was a radio producer for morning news and was trying to basically coach up, hype up, get guests on who were regular, normal people, but get them prepared for radio interviews so they would not flame out and get freaked out on the radio. And they came up with a couple of tricks, and tips to kind of go through to get them better for those messages, which turned into a way of coaching other people on their messaging as well, and turned into, as I grew my own podcasting and broadcasting stuff, ways to teach people how to do more of those things as well. A lot of as wells in that. So now, as part of mastermessage.net, I still help people who are trying to craft, perfect their messages. It originally started out more along the lines of just speaking and just taking out to people in crowds. Now it's more along the lines of digital things, podcasts, and media things, and hits online and videos and things like that. Looking for more information on help to work out on those things for your own help on mastering your message, if you will, go to the website masteryourmessage.net and get more of these messages for free, plus information on how I can come in contact with you and we need some real life coaching. Today we have a very interesting topic to deal with, something that for these video messages, there's also a podcast that comes out as well in audio, but for these video messages, we go deeper dives into things that I'm doing more discussion and learning on how to get some tips from. And today we are looking at how to get more things for your messaging out of movie teaser trailers, the things that the old voice guy would say, in a world where things are not as they seem, but yet more than they seem. That movie guy made lots of money, had a pretty great run of life doing those things back in those trailers and back for the movie phone days, if you can remember that far back. Now we're talking about the same things we see in movie trailers, things that bring people to see what a movie's about, but also specifically in something called a teaser trailer. These are movie trailers that come out not ready to sell the movie and get you hyped up to go see it, but to hype you up with the idea that this movie's being made. Often teaser trailers are created well before the movie is wrapped up production, sometimes well before movies are made in production. And sometimes people make these really quick, easy things to kind of get you hyped into it right once they have the notion that it's been made. A movie just gets greenlit. There, you know that something's going to happen. Something pretty awesome came out, and they're going to come up with a sequel soon. But it's way too early to actually have any idea what sequel will be about. So they come up with some sort of quick, easy teaser trailer. Sometimes they're as little as 10, 15 seconds of images and sounds to make you hyped up for what's going on. Some of them are full blown trailers for the movies, and some of them are essentially their normal movie trailer you see when you sit at an actual movie theater, if you do those these days, and see what's coming next, upcoming types things, some things. So today we're going to talk about the tips that you learn from your messaging, whatever you're doing, whether you are a podcaster, whether you're a YouTuber on video, whether you're speaking in front of the crowds, whether you're a preacher, a teacher, whatever. These are some tips you can learn from the studying and paying very good attention in your studying of movie trailers. First one being that judging books by their title is not as effective as by their cover. Now, bear with me for a second. This is going to take a little unwrapping, but go along with this. You've heard of the expression, I know you have, that you can't judge a book by its cover. And this is because you never know what's inside of the book, what the words, what the content, what they actually say, based on how awesome or not so awesome you see a cover is. Guess what? Judging a book by its title is even harder to do, because even though now every single book has a title that has a subtitle and is super long and has some sort of weird linguistics graffiti to make you get into it, you really don't know what's into it until you actually read the book. And the title can tell you something about it, and it can tell you not as much about it as you think. Book cover can tell you something about it, and it also cannot tell you as much about it as you think. But the images that you take in instantly of the cover will help give you a better idea of what you think is in the book. Think about all the different books that are out about former President Donald Trump. Everyone seemed to write a book every couple months on him, on something that he did, and a lot of them were overlapping things. But in the cases of all the books, they all have a picture of him on the cover or something he's doing on the cover. So, this is a book about Trump. They did something manipulative to the picture so it either looks either meaner or more stoic, which makes you know this is a pro-Trump book or a anti-Trump book. The cover is extremely effective in purveying a message. And so by just giving the title of Jaws, you have the word Jaws, and then you might have some subtext on it's a movie about a shark. But when you have a movie poster that's a big shark mouth on it, it gives you a bit more of an image of what you to expect. The cover is easier to purvey a message than just a title. And then, of course, you have to, of course, produce that message. But if you give someone a good graphic image, you give someone something they can live on, whether you are just an audio person and speaking in words, the theater of the mind aspects of talking is something that's great. If you can give them a picture to summon in their eyes, in their minds, while they're taking it in, you have a better chance of drawing them into more of your content because that cover is a great way to pull people in. Now, the second point I learned from studying movie trailers, and those things are a good trailer can bring in a large audience, but the show must keep them happy. Now, if you're really, really psyched out about a brand new movie that's going to bring a lot of people in, then it's going to keep you motivated to go. Let's go back about a decade to one of Samuel Jackson's biggest flops, but one of his most beloved movies for some weird reason, and that is Snakes on a Plane. There was a thought of a movie, a treatment of a movie of snakes on a plane. Essentially, what it turned out to be, a terrorist was on a plane, or a criminal was on a plane, and some other criminal wanted to keep him silent. So their thought process on how to take the plane down without blowing it up and looking really obvious was to load lots of poisonous snakes onto a plane. The snakes would come out. The snakes would basically bite everyone, including the pilots. The plane would go down, and it would not be found again. And if it did, it'd be found lots of snakes, and that wouldn't be suspicious now, would it? So the trailer for Snakes on a Plane was a great thing, and mostly because it featured Samuel Jackson and all sorts of things, and the upcoming just thought process that he would say something similar to. I'm tired of these MF and snakes and this MF and plane, which actually wasn't a line in the movie until someone said it's got to be a line in the movie, so they shot it to it make the people happy. Test audiences can do that. But the trailer to Snakes on a Plane, the hype bring up Snakes on a Plane, and all the love to Snakes on a Plane did not account to much box office success for Snakes on a Plane because the trailer, the hype, the talk was all over the place. There was all sorts of entertainment tonight, like hype on Snakes on a Plane, and nobody went to see it. I saw it twice because I felt like I had to, but no one else went to go see it. So the good trailer can give you lots of great hype and give an audience a lot of reason to come and check out the show, listen to your podcast, watch your videos. But then once they start to read your stuff and listen to your podcast and watch your videos, and they find out that the trailer, not even all the good stuff was in the trailer, none of the stuff in the trailer was there, then they're done with you. They'll on to somebody else. Somebody else go put another flashy trailer and go for that. You have to put up a good trailer, and that trailer can bring in a large amount of people, but you still have to deliver on something of what you're putting out in that trailer. If the trailer has spaceships in it and you go to the movie and it's nothing but Ford Pintos, you've probably failed your audience. And the third thing on this topic is the cover trailer can be misleading, but it still tells a story anyway. Now, I already mentioned about people talking about the best parts of the movie being, put in the trailer. So you watch the trailer and essentially you saw the funny parts, you saw the most exciting parts, the best graphics. But there's a couple things about trailers that in the misleading part can bring in more folks or turn away folks, if you will. In the past, let's go back to Star Wars Rogue One, the independent Star Wars story, the first non trilogy story, and the first totally independent story with more or less new characters or some carryovers from some places. But unlike the Solo movie, which was a deep dive into Han Solo, this was how the rebels got the plans to the Death Star in the first place. Something that was never ever thought about until someone thought, hey, we can make some money off this thing. Turns out to be one of the better Star Wars movies out there, mostly because it's not stuck in the ethos, it's stuck in a singular story. And one of the coolest things about the Star Wars trailer for this one, Rogue One, is that there's a scene that has the main character standing on the bridge of one of the Imperial stormtroopers, one of the Imperial starcrafts, in this cool looking pose that didn't exist. In fact, it wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. It was basically some test shots they were playing around with during some filming. That when they looked over the dailies and saw it in there, Someone decided this would be cool to use. We got to put it someplace. Let's throw it in the trailer. That scene is not in the movie. There's no reference to the movie. It has no reason to exist other than it was a cool looking image. But putting that in the trailer brought in a lot of people into the theaters for the mystique of the story, and there were no complaints. However, there recently were some complaints about some stories that didn't quite live up to the hype, or specifically live up to the characters in the movie. A recent movie came out that had a image of a woman, a very fine actress in her own right, in the trailer of the movie. However, that image of the trailer did not make it to the movie. It was probably supposed to be in the movie. It was meant to be in a movie, but it got cut from the movie. So, what do you do when a person that you see in the trailer does not show up in the movie? Apparently, you sue. And that's what's happening right now for one movie company, where a movie that turned out to be not so great brought in a couple extra people because they were expecting certain people to be in it because of the trailer. And, it didn't quite happen that way. The trailer told a story, it was misleading, and it was really misleading because it told a story of someone who should be in the movie that was not. Let's go back to another thought process in that one, and then we're going to talk about one that made a lot of money as well, and that is the Marvel movies. We'll say, and we'll talk about the trailer for the original Ant Man. Now, what's interesting about movie trailers and international movies is that they have different trailers around the world. You will see somewhere going back to Star Wars. There's a lot of complaints about the Star Wars trailers and posters because they tend to not show the people of color in their trailers. Finn and Rose and the people who have a natural tan to them tend to be whitewashed, no pun intended, out of movie trailers and out of movie posters in places like China, because it's China. They can do censorship like that, so they do that. Same thing happened in that Ant Man and the Ant Man movie trailer, where it just so happened in just a different trailer. In the German trailer for Ant Man, it made a big deal about one of the surprises that the American folks didn't get to see, the fact that the Falcon, now Falcon Captain America, was in the movie with a quick glance of it. If you've seen the movie, so spoiler alerts, probably that. Scott Lang sneaks into the Avengers compound in his Ant-Man suit to steal a piece that he needs to fix Hank Pym's machine of some sort, and he bumps into Falcon on the way, and they have a little battle of sorts. And Ant Man misleads him, or basically outlasts him to get the stuff, which brings Ant Man into the fold for Captain America Civil War. When there's I know a guy, when Cap needs some backup, they call in Ant Man. In the German trailers, there's a big old picture of Falcon standing there. American trailers does not have that. So it's one of those things where the teaser things get lost in translation, literally, on things like that. Your cover trailer, or the cover that you're giving as a trailer, can be misleading. It can tell falsehoods. It can tell more than you wanted to tell. But the big important part about that is that it actually does tell a story in itself, and the story does not pan out. Your crowd will not like it. These are tips to help you in any sort of messaging that you're doing. The first tip we had was judging books by their title is not as effective as by their cover. Giving them an image to gloss onto is much, much, much better than just giving them some words, some titles, a little bit of insight on what's going on. Giving them a picture, whether it's a real graphic or it's using words to paint a picture in their minds, is a better job of painting a nice cover for them to judge, and hopefully they'll judge in your favor. A good trailer can bring in a large audience, but the show must keep them happy. Just because it has a good cover, a good trailer, a good picture, a good image, a good promotion, doesn't mean it's a great show. Doesn't mean it's a good speech. Doesn't mean it's an effective talk. So bringing them in is great. Once people see it's not as great as the trailer says, they won't have to worry about the trailer. Word of mouth will keep them away. And finally, the cover or trailer can be misleading, but it still tells a story. You don't have to tell the exact truth or give all the plot away in your promotional images. You don't. You shouldn't. You should give enough to bring people in to see what exactly is going to happen. And in some of the cases I gave a few moments ago, you can give some things that aren't even there, a little bit of sleight of hand, if you will, in your presentation. But you still got to tell the story, and it still has to be a good story. And if it's a good enough story, people will either overlook it or they will give you a chance to kind of live it down. If it doesn't, you will never live it down. These have been some messaging tips I learned from movie teaser trailers or trailers in general, not so much as the teaser ones, if you will, but just trailers in general. Teaser trailers are a little bit specific, but it's what you can learn from. Now, I finished this message, and thank you so much for sticking around for this full message. If you're looking for more help in getting your message crafted, getting your message battle tested, getting it out there, getting it published, check us out at masteryourmessage.net. It is a great website that offers you great features and great different types of resources. Most of them free, to be honest. Most of the things on there are just things that have been written up, things that we translated from various podcasts and various videos, and things you can just take a look at, take a quick glance at, and get one or two steps to immediately get yourself on that path to message perfection. Now, if you need a little extra help, a little training, some jujitsu in the messaging, if you will, we can help you out there at mastermessage.net as well. You just click on the links for there's a survey for what you might need for your coaching journey, and we will find ways to gather you up with either myself or some other people to help deliver and conduct messaging there at the website. It's that simple. With that, I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for taking this message. We will join you again next time for another message, whether it's the podcast audio or the video here on YouTube. Don't forget to like this video so you get more of them, so more people see them, of course. Subscribe so you don't miss out to it, and hit the button, the bell, so that you get notifications every time we pop a new one of these out here once a week or so. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the future.